Shall we start? It's 3 o'clock and we'll try to make it on time. We have an hour of a discussion. As I think you all know that the topic of the discussion today is focus on Russia. When we planned that, the main idea was that we'll speak about the supply and demand dynamics to enter Russia, to enter Russian market, including considering aftermath of the Sochi Olympics, big events which we still plan, the World Cup in 2018. The way we would like to do that is, first we'll have a discussion in the panel, and then we'll come to the questions from the audience. And don't hesitate to ask any questions which you would like to ask. We're really not afraid. My name is Dmitry Tetushev. I am a partner with Ernst & Young, the head of hospitality practice. On a panel today, I have to my right Claudia Pendred, who is the director of property and tourism with EBRD. I have Saurabh Chawla, who is the director of international development and acquisitions with Louvre Hotel. I have Vadim Prasev, who is the managing partner of Alliance Hotels. He's also the vice president of the Hoteliers Federation of Russia. And finally we have Alexander Zaporozhsky. Alexander is a deputy chief executive officer for strategy and investments with airports of regions. I will start this discussion with I will kick off this with some general statistics. I know that people usually are tired of the statistics, but nevertheless, we have in Russia today, we think that there are 100 to 110 internationally managed hotels. We do not include into this number the hotels which are run by the Russian operators, maybe wrongly, but this is the fact. We anticipate that in the next 3 years, there will be around 150, 160 new hotels added, which is quite a development. I still think by the number it's not a lot, but it will increase the room count twice of the quality internationally managed hotel. The question which I have is, where this new hotel development come from? All these 150, 160 hotels. And this is the first question which I wanted to address to Vadim Prasev, is where all those hotels come from, where the growth comes from. Is it only Moscow, not Sochi, because no one will build any more hotels there, I think, in the next 100 years. But is it regions? What do you think?
There are still some projects in Sochi. They are crazy guys, I think.
But we agreed not to talk about Sochi.
Yeah.
We can do that later.
Yeah. Nothing more about Sochi, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that in mostly regions of Russia, there are some potential for new hotels, and there are just few cities which are maybe for this day are full or very close to be full with international or local brands or independent hotels. But I think that in all potential of their market is very big, and this depends on the real estate market, because the occupancy of some retail business offices and other projects in real estate are not so fast. So some guys are looking for hotel properties, and in some cities this is reasonable because we have some traffic, but we don't have quality hotels. I think in most cities, big cities of Russia right now.
But the bottom line, you think that the growth will come from the regions. It won't come from Moscow or St. Petersburg.
I think so, because Moscow and St. Petersburg is well-known cities. There are some projects in Moscow, and I think it will be each year that it will be new projects in Moscow. By the way, we have right now 3 projects in Moscow. Yeah, but St. Petersburg is the other city, and I think it's very close to be full.
I see.
Yeah. We can say the same about Kazan, I think, about Yekaterinburg.
That the market is full in Kazan and in Yekaterinburg.
Yeah, almost full. But all other big cities, they are open, I think, for. By the way, in Siberia, there are a lot of opportunities right now to move forward with international brands as well.
On that note, I wanted to ask Saurabh is that, and I think that we all agree, is that the growth, the real growth in the Russian market will come not from capital cities, but it will come from the regions. Considering that the growth in the regions, what do you think, it's actually a twofold question. First of all, what do you think is the best model for the growth? You know, whether it is the management agreement, whether it is a franchise agreement, leases, investments, which I doubt personally, but you can say the different. And second, what, you know, as a Louvre hotel, what is the preferred model you would like to use in growing on the Russian market?
At Louvre Hotels, we are currently concluding an operating platform, which is there to manage hotels. But given the size of the country, given the different sub-markets that exist in each market, I think the best growth model for us in the whole of Russia is the franchising model outside Moscow, St. Petersburg, Ekaterinburg, and perhaps one more city. I mean, if you look at, say, for argument's sake, compare Russia to Europe, you know, there are lots of brands here. Each sub-market is supported by a regional head office. So there's one big operating platform and there's sub-operating platforms to cover each market. Whereas, given the size of Russia, I think it's very difficult to manage far-fetched regions out of Moscow. So if a hotel owner is doing a great job managing the hotel, if the hotel owner knows how to serve his guests, we're very happy to grow with the franchising model there.
But do you have any specific requirements with respect to the owner? Does it have to be, you know, the owner who has the hotel, so the owner who, you know, it might be his first hotel?
No, not at all. I mean, Golden Tulip as a brand is a very flexible brand. It does not have standardized product requirements, so it's very easy to convert existing hotels into an internationally branded hotels. With that, we see a lot of potential throughout Russia, where the ratios between internationally branded hotels and non-branded hotels is skewed. There are a lot more non-branded hotels. From a product point of view, many operators would look at it and say, no, this does not fit our checklist. Whereas with the Golden Tulip brand, it does take most of the check boxes.
I see. So the preferred model to develop is a franchise, though I'm sure that, you know, if you can manage, you know, there is a proposition to manage. You won't disagree with this proposition and might consider that for management.
No, I mean, where we can manage, for example, Moscow, St. Petersburg,
yes,
we can manage. We would love to do management agreement, and we would prefer that. But outside, I don't think so we'll be able to do a good job managing
because
that.
of the size of the country, as you cannot control it. I see. On that, I will, you know, again ask the question to Vadim, is that there is, and that perhaps my own belief, for which I apologize, is that the Russian operators, they cannot, well, I shouldn't be saying that, but if you compare the management by the international operator and the Russian operator, the international operator manages the hotel better than the Russian operators. Do you agree with this provocative statement?
You see, to be the Russian hotel operator and agree with this point, it's really tough question. I think that, first of all, we don't have a lot of Russian local operators. This is the main problem. because when we are talking about not upscale market, but about 3 plus hotels, the best idea is to make franchising with some local operator. But we just have few who can really understand all the figures, all the points of international brand.
We have a presentation in Petersburg
yeah,
somewhere.
So that's why for I think for international brands as well, it's difficult to find the partner, I mean the operator, to move in regions. This is not a very fast question that we can fix, and I think that this will be the problem for next 10 years because the hospitality industry in Russia is rather young, and that's why these problems, I think they are well known by all companies which are working with Russia and Russia hotel market. Right now, I think yes, mostly Russian hotel operators, they are not so big, not so good as international, sure, but they are growing very fast, and there are few who are moving and thinking and working in right way.
But here's another question: is that one is that when the Russian operators run the hotels themselves, non-branded hotels, and I know that you have three hotels.
Yeah,
in
white label,
cities.
yeah.
But you mentioned the franchise. Do you think it's a feasible option that the Russian operator will manage the hotel under the franchise, which you can get, from Louvre, from our colleagues in?
No, there are few colleagues with whom we are talking about some real projects. So, no, I think it's realistic. First of all, the second point that this is, to be honest, I think the only way right now. That's why we need to go in this way.
And you think that Russian operators can be competitive with? It's not a secret that today the biggest franchisor is Interstate. It's the biggest hotel operator without the brand in Russia. One of the biggest, I shouldn't say the biggest.
You see, I think I don't want to discuss the situation with Interstate. Most of the guys who are working in Russia, they know what the problem with Interstate. And maybe not the problem, but there is some situation. We just need more companies anyway. And that's why the growing market of Russia is interesting for a lot of brands, but it's real that we have huge territory, and there are a lot of not big cities where the projects might be interesting, but not with directly management contracts. So I think that 3, 4, maybe 5 companies in Russia are open for such working with international brands.
Yeah.
But it's really big problem for us right now, and as well as very big problem with staff. It's disaster, to be honest.
Well, it depends on the region, I think, but
yeah, sure. In Moscow as well. No, it's
in Moscow it's not a problem with staff; it's a problem with payment.
Salary. Yeah. I agree.
There are staff that just they want to be paid too much.
All of them are gold.
No, I understand that. I don't blame them for that. So far we said that the development is in the region. The hotel operators would be prepared, to manage the hotels in the primary cities, so to speak, and they will be prepared to go for the franchise in what we call secondary cities. There are Russian operators who, and I think I agree with you. I think that there is a major step which have been taken over the recent years where there are Russian operators who can manage the hotel under the franchise. Now, the next question which I have, and that I will address that to Alexander, is that as we heard, Russia is a big country, and I shouldn't be maybe saying that, but by the recent events, it sounds like we want to be bigger than we are today. So, you know, as Russia is a big country, how do you, and you know, you will have hotels in this big country. How do you get to your hotels? You know, how do you, I would assume that, well, you can take a train, of course, but I would assume that you would want to fly. And you know, we know that you are dealing a lot with regional airports in Russia. Can you kind of describe what is happening in this field?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I think I need to say that I'm working mainly with airports, and hotel is non-core business for us. Nevertheless, we did a project at one location jointly with international partner for the hotel development, and it was quite an interesting experience. In any case, we're actually present in largest regional cities like Yekaterinburg, Nizhny Novgorod, Samara. We're also doing some new projects at Rostov-on-Don, Saratov. We want to close the deals this year for acquisition of new airports at Krasnoyarsk and Perm. So I would say we are present in, or want to be present in many largest regional cities with population over 1 million inhabitants. And we think that here, this is definitely a point of future growth. So, lots of growth coming both from the region itself, and second, also tourist development. The people want to travel more, and this all influence developments of the airports, of the territory connected to the airports, and one of the points is actually hotel, airport hotel. So we think that airport hotel is something a little bit different from the city hotel, because if you look at the business specific, part of the business comes from airline crews because they want to stay in good locations. They don't want to spend time on traveling because they just come from the flight. They want to get rest. They want to get rest as soon as possible. And quality airport hotel is one of the ideal options. Second is business tourists. The people who are coming from Moscow, from other locations in the night, they don't want to go anywhere. They want to get rest and then in the morning go to the city, do their business meetings, or ideally even meet at the airport hotel and coming back to their city. Also business conferences, another segment. For many federal companies, airports, hotel is ideal place for the conference. This is the venue where you don't need to deal with logistics. People are coming to the airport, go directly to hotel, spend time on the conference, and leave. So lots of things. And significant driver of revenue of this hotel is coming actually related to the airport business. So it gets protection from the airport to some extent. And if you look at statistics, how the traffic figures are growing during the last years. At Yekaterinburg, for example, 2 years ago, the growth was 25%. Last year, it was about 15%. This year, we expect 10% growth. And this trend will continue because the level of mobility of population is still quite low. So in Europe, people are traveling much more using planes. And in Russia, as you know, quality of roads, unfortunately, still are terrible. So aviation is the best option in many cases for travel. Also, government launched some programs to support regional aviation, and there is some subsidies to the airlines who open regional routes. So we believe that it will help to restore some connections between the cities which were lost during the last 20 years.
On that point, by the regional routes, it's the route from city to city, not because I have a story. It's a very short one. Many years ago, and I'm working with the audit firm, and we won an audit in Yakutsk. And the question was, who will be doing that? Who will be doing that? So, you know, people looked at the map and they said, well, we have an office in Novosibirsk, and that quite natural is that Novosibirsk is closer to Yakutsk than Moscow. It's very natural that Novosibirsk will be doing that. Eventually, they ended up flying to Moscow and then to Yakutsk, and I felt sorry for them. But you're now saying that there are more regional routes which have been opened, which, you know, like Yakutsk to Novosibirsk.
Right, right. And the regional hubs will be developing in the coming years. We just recently done again the analysis how many people are forced to travel to Moscow. So in Moscow, in the Moscow aviation hub, where mainly 3 airports operate, Vnukovo, Domodedovo, and Sheremetyevo, total passenger flow is about 70 million passengers per year. And about 10 to 15 million people are actually forced to go to Moscow because they don't have direct point-to-point aviation. So even if the city is maybe 1 hour flight from their city, they have to go first to Moscow and then from Moscow to their city. And all that, I hope that situation will change in the next years. And this will drive as well as airport hotel opportunities, as the opportunities within regional cities.
Yeah.
Because in many cities still there is, as you mentioned, as Vadim mentioned, lots of opportunities for hotel development.
And in some cities, there are simply no good hotels at all, and there are quite a few of them. We heard about opportunities such as the regional cities. We heard about the opportunities at the airport, such as the airport hotel. And the question to Claudia is that, do you think it's all, you know, generally speaking, what we've been discussing, is it financeable? You know, would, for example, EBRD prepared to finance that? And if yes, what are the kind of, I'm sure that you cannot tell us the exact terms of the loans today, but what are the general terms and conditions which you require when concluding the hotel deal?
Yes, I mean, in our region, which obviously includes Russia, but also all the former communist countries, I mean, we've financed about 40 hotel projects to date. In Russia, we financed some regional hotels. Actually, one of our clients is sitting in the front row here, Afghan Holding, and that's 3 regional hotels we financed with them, and they're being operated or managed by Accor under the IBIS brand. We've also done a Radisson in Russia, and we're looking at a number of other opportunities. Now we tend to look more at regional hotels. I mean, at the beginning when we first started operating in Russia, we would do hotels in capital cities, but now there's a lot more hotels in these cities, like Moscow and St. Petersburg. We either look to, you know, hotel projects in the suburbs or regional hotels. And typically these aren't, you know, luxury hotels, but more business type hotels, you know, 3-4 star hotels. Normally we do debt, long-term loans, project financing. Occasionally we have done equity, but that very much depends on the company. It's not normally a one-off hotel project, but there it would be a company we might take an equity stake in that has a whole portfolio of hotel projects, and we might do a capital increase in order that they can then finance some new hotels using that. But typically we'll do senior loan, long-term, you know, we can do around 10 years, plus or minus, depending on the client, with grace periods, sometimes balloon payments, and the rate varies hugely depending on the country, the sponsor, the conditions. So everything we do is very much specific for the client and the situation.
But in terms of the requirements, do you require the feasibility study to be done? You know, just to show you the cash flow. Do you need? And the second is, of course, do you need the hotel operator to be on board, or you know, could you finance if there is a Russian operator?
I mean, basically, so far all the projects we've done in Russia have been with international operators, but in some of our other countries we have financed hotel projects with local operators. So again, it depends if the operator is experienced, has you know, managed hotel projects in the past, there's no integrity issues, etc., then we can look at it. But we have to find the right operator.
Yeah.
And we certainly need all the feasibility studies, environmental studies, etc.
Because the feasibility study will show, because very often you hear is that I want to build Ritz-Carlton in Tumen.
Well, absolutely. No, I mean, we need, you know, full business plan.
Yeah.
And we have, you know, a whole team of people internally, credit, economists, environmentalists, etc., who would look at the projects.
And personally, I think feasibility study is a great thing for the owner, because he will understand, specifically if the owner is not very kind of sophisticated in terms of the hotel development, they will understand themselves what they're getting themselves into, comparing to the office and other things. And I see that some of them laughing because they apparently realize maybe too late, but I love hotels. So, we spoke about the regional developments, we spoke about the airports, we spoke about the financing, Russian versus, franchise versus management. We still, we have to acknowledge that Russia is usually driven by big events, which is not necessarily a bad thing. One of the big events, which Sochi is over. Sorry for mentioning that again, but the next big event is a World Cup 2018, and in preparing to this session, I came across the news from Dubai, and Dubai, in anticipation of the Expo. They issued a series of, I'll just read something, series of directives aimed at enhancing and streamlining hotel investment. So they basically reduced the approval process for hotel construction to 2 months from 6 months. One window is that you've got your approval in one place. Zoning requirements, they ease that. They waive the tax, the 10% municipality tax, which Dubai levies on the hotel project. So in a nutshell, they are giving incentives for the hotel investments. Now, I have to say that the World Cup, in my opinion, has been, it was not on the radar screen of the government for a long time, and for understandable, for understandable reasons, because they were so much concentrated on the Olympics. I know that Vadim he's heading a working group on preparation of Mother Russia to the World Cup 2018. Can you shed some light as to what are the preparations? What are we going to do?
Yeah, sure. Now we have full information about all regions, about the hotel industry in these 11 cities. We have information about the projects which are going right now and which are going to be soon. And as for me, it's not enough. First of all, it's not enough by the way, with the budget hotels. No, it's enough, I think, with upscale, but not enough with budget hotels. And this problem, I think, will be with us till the World Championship, and maybe after World Championship. It's a pity. We have different situation in these 11 cities, sure, because Sochi, I tried not to say this word, but yeah.
It's one of the cities.
Yeah. One of the city on the south, near the sea. Yeah, right now is
near the mountains.
Is ready for World Championship. Anyway, I think it will be ready all these 4 years. Moscow and St. Petersburg are ready, I think. Kazan close to be ready.
Has quite a few hotels opened. I think that they are.
Yeah, sure. No, they have their own big event, Universiade, so they prepared, and right now they have few projects more. But in all, it looks much better than 7 other cities in different regions. But these 7 cities looking not good right now, and the government of these cities, of the districts where these cities are situated, they are thinking about potential investment in hotels, and they are open for all discussing the projects and make some concessions for the investors. So I think that they have potential for growing of hotel market. Anyway, we have some figures from FIFA, how many rooms we need to for FIFA team, for football teams, for the sponsors, for the press during the championship. But they can't say how many rooms we need for the guests of World Championship. And from year to year, this the quantity of room is moving. So it's very difficult to get real information from them. But anyway, the governors of these regions now, after this city near the Black Sea, they understand that main focus will be on them. So that's why everybody is trying to prepare and to move in the way of working with very close with investors in order to make some new hotel projects.
But will they have the investors? Because I think that's, I agree with you, is that Moscow, St. Petersburg is ready, Kazan, I think, is ready, Sochi is ready. There are cities which are completely, absolutely not ready. One of them, you know, I know pretty well because I was born there, Volgograd, and I just know that they're not ready. Kaliningrad is another example, I think. Not mentioning Saransk, where you have a hotel.
Saransk is going fast, to be honest. To be honest, this is really the city, and the Moldova Republic is trying to do their best. No, they are very active and clever guys, so I think everything will be okay with Saransk. There are a lot of questions with Volgograd, I agree. Yeah. Because they make some concessions for investors, but nothing moving, to be honest. They have some projects with the international brands, but this is the strange city where just yesterday it was nothing really, no quality hotels at all. And right now we have, I think, 5 or 6 projects with international brands, and it will be disaster for this city because no traffic, business and touristic traffic for new brands, for new hotels. I think it will be very difficult with occupancy, with ADR, with RevPAR, so it will be a tough situation before the World Championship and I think after World Championship, because this region needs to become more touristic. They have potential, they have opportunities, but they don't move at all. And by the way, the government of this region previous was Lazy Bones, and new one.
Too aggressive, I would say.
Very, very strange.
Not in a manner of investments, but
agree.
Generally. Saurabh, do you think that the World Cup will give a boost to the hotel development in Russia?
Absolutely. I mean, I have a live example where for Brazil, the cities where World Cup is being hosted, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a great surge in hotel development. There was a time when people were talking about what's next, what will happen after the World Cup. But for those who don't know, in Brazil, most of the hotel development is through the condominium model, where investors buy individual hotel rooms. As of last week, there was another hotel being sold as individual rooms in one of the cities where they were hosting World Cup, and within a weekend, all the rooms were sold. So people are still very optimistic about Brazil and the future. I think, and coming back to Russia, again, it's always that chicken and egg story. The demand to cities is not there because hotels are not there. Once the hotels are there, the local hotel community would get together and then create events, create opportunities for demand to come to that city. So, as a first step, you do need infrastructure. Yes. You do need hotel beds where you can fulfill people. Once that's done, then you start to reach out and worry about how to get the demand. So I'm very positive about the World Cup in Russia. I think it's a great opportunity to put many of the regional cities on the map again, they'll see a lot of growth in international arrivals. And it'll be great for regional cities.
I agree with you. I think personally, I think that the World Cup is a much bigger event for Russia, even comparing to the Olympics, because Olympics is one region, one city, and the World Cup is spread around. And the idea of hosting that in 11 cities is, if it doesn't give a boost to 11 cities to grow, then I don't know what. Alexander, sticking to the World Cup, what do you see in terms of the airport developments? Does it have any effect on the speed of the airport developments? Does the government want to, kind of help or invest into that?
From airport infrastructure, there is a significant support from the regional and federal governments. In our group, almost, I think, 4 airports will be the airports, actually airports in the cities where the games will be held. It's Yekaterinburg, Samara, Nizhny Novgorod, and Rostov-on-Don. So, and the government right now spends lots of money on upgrade on the runways, of the building new airport infrastructure. But if we step back from airports and look on the overall requirements, the major risk that might be is normally that the question of requirements. So the problem with all these high-profile events is that this is peak thing, and for this peak you need to build a lot of excessive infrastructure. So the question, what will be after that? So in many cities you'll have only one game, so this is a question about 1 or 2 days, and then...
No, not one game, no. It will be more anyway, but nobody knows in which city will be, which pair of teams will play, because we'll get this information only in December of 2017. So that's why nobody knows if you have France versus Germany, it's great. If you have
Did they qualify?
Angola versus New Zealand, it's disaster. Yeah.
Why not? I would like to see New Zealand. But yeah.
But still, there's the question. So we'll build infrastructure, and after that, we still have to manage it. So in many cities, definitely, even without FIFA or after FIFA, most of the infrastructure will be used and will be fully utilized by
this
for other
is,
purposes.
And I think this is the question which been raised not only with respect to the World Cup, but all the time. What happens next? And as you said, the government will finance extra infrastructure to that. But what happened next? Unfortunately, I don't think that we have an answer to this question. But anyhow, if you have the infrastructure, it is better than not to have the infrastructure. This is where I completely agree.
And in many regions, the governments are ready to provide some subsidies, some tax deductions, or special tax regime for property tax or for...
Alexander has sent me the snapshot of the concessions which are available in Yekaterinburg, which is basically the property tax and the profit tax, the portion of the profit tax for the hotel developments. On that, at this point, I would like to ask the people in the audience if they have the questions. And I would like that you have the questions, because otherwise we'll come to the reserve topics, which is Sochi. I would like you to ask, Aron, I would like you to ask the question if you think that there is another key topic which we should cover, because you have a unique opportunity to ask the question about the financing, to ask the question from the Russian operator, from the international operator. Vladislav, пожалуйста.
Let me ask from the laughing honest perspective.
I'm sorry.
Let's imagine that all of you, I know the two of you Russians, Sarah is almost Russian, across Russia, and a nice lady around here. Let's imagine that you are investing your own money in normal city.
Irkutsk.
One question is Irkutsk. It's a little bit
You
close
call it
to
normal
the
city,
same
okay.
Irkutsk that you mentioned before.
Да.
But let's imagine they all invest their own money. And I have just one question for all of you. And the question is starting from why, and after the particular point for each of you. Question to Vadim. housing, building areas, and travel areas. Why I should invest in this city? Questions to Sarah. Why should invest in Louvre, which is nobody don't know in this market? Moreover, this
That's a
market
bad thing to say, yeah, but-
is a very well established local brand. It's a very good reputation, even on the Chinese market. Questions to Alexander. Why people not staying overnight in the Irkutsk airport?
Why would they stay overnight?
And what you will
Why don't they take the excursion in Irkutsk and enjoy the beautiful
but in order to improve
architecture?
staying overnight in the hotels and to develop the
No,
segment
we-
of the market, you should convince people they should stay either for business perspective or for leisure perspective or just for convenience for travel with their families. And the last but not least question for this nice lady. I was really impressed with your point that you invest in the hotels. But the one question is, do you invest after the cut ribbon of the hotels? And the second question is, no, after the opening, not during
Yeah,
the
yeah.
investment stage. You invest after the hotel was open, and you invest, or you refinance this hotel on the operational stage. And the second question is, you always invest in infrastructure project in Russia. And why you decided to buy it? And what should convince you to invest in this hotel project in Irkutsk?
The question is clear. I think that I will make two. One observation is nobody asked me why should I invest my money, because there is no expectation that I would invest my money as the consultant. So I will let you answer that because.
I'm the first?
Yes.
I think. Okay, no.
And second observation is probably Vladislav has a project in Irkutsk and I just want to.
Poor guy, yes. What can we say? This is really so that that other real estate is more interesting in Irkutsk than hotel properties, and that's why with the international brand there are only two projects, as I remember. It's Marriott Courtyard and Ibis, yeah, nothing more in Irkutsk.
But this is a common question. Why you believe that on the other areas of the business, for example, real estate, in many cities of Russia, the local brands are more stronger than international? Why you believe that in Irkutsk?
No, you see, I can't say that they are strongest. No, sometimes they are more realistic with the market, and then they don't make the model which works in any city in other world, and they make a model right for Irkutsk. But this is, as for me, it's a difficult city. We had potential project there, and we didn't go with it because the traffic in this city, I agree that it's not overnight. So it's usually the guys who are coming to Baikal, they come in Irkutsk and go directly to Baikal. There are some guests who are going to Irkutsk directly, but not a lot. That's why we are not going with project in Irkutsk or in Baikal as well, because right now it's not interesting. First of all, because of airplanes, tariffs for airplanes, and from Moscow or St. Petersburg, you know, it's a disaster. The price for the tickets in the summer to Irkutsk is starting from 1,000 euro. So it's not interesting for anybody. I think this city will be really difficult. And there are some cities in Russia where only local investor can look at this market because they know this market well. And by the way, they have some territory for development. And if they can't move with retail or business center or maybe some houses, so they need to build something if they are working there. That's why they are looking for other opportunities, and sometimes it's hotel. I agree that this is not the best idea when you can find something interesting in other real estate market, and you go to hotel business. Because if you have money for this, it's okay. But if you are looking for the loans, it's very difficult. I think you'll never be okay.
Sort of, if you, I think it's irrespective of the city, the general question is that why the owner should invest in your brand.
Well, I mean, it's the answer is quite simple. I mean, and to answer that question, you have to understand what does a brand bring, and there are various factors to that. I think the foremost one is the distribution element which a brand brings. Now, Irkutsk, I have been privileged to see Irkutsk, and it's a lovely city, especially around the Lake Baikal area. But who knows about Irkutsk outside Russia or Kazakhstan? But a brand makes that city known to the whole world through various promotions, through various initiatives, through loyalty programs going through. And just coming back to the distribution element, it's connecting that hotel to different distribution platforms. So be it Expedia's, the Booking.com, call centers, websites, all that feeds into the hotel and only enhances that. So, right, for now, yes, Irkutsk as a city which is very popular with Russians and a bit from Kazakhstan, you perhaps don't need a brand. But you do need a brand to make it known to other regional countries or former or CIS countries. So, we've seen examples of this in other emerging markets where there were a lot more unbranded hotels, very few international hotels. And the moment you put a brand, theoretically, the cost of having that brand breaks even with the surplus of bookings you get. Now, how much time it takes, it depends on country to country.
So the point which you're making is that the brand makes the city known to the world. Let everyone answer, and then you Alexander. I think the question was about why people should stay at the airport of Irkutsk when they are in the city, and I don't think it's a good example because, as far as I know, airport of Irkutsk is in the city. So.
Yeah, it's in the city.
Yeah, the airport of Irkutsk is in the city. There was plans to move airport from the city 20 kilometers away to the suburb. The problem with that project was that to do that, the place which was chosen for the new airport requires building 2 bridges, new roads, and so on. So the region will never be able to finance this project. Yeah. That's the major challenge. But on the other hand, if we speak about long-term airport development, the region needs to think about maybe other location, but to move airport from the city, because now there is a very strict sanitary norms for the airports, and if you want to build a new terminal or build something new, you get to get permission from the sanitary authorities of Russia, and the requirement will be to put plastic windows in all houses in the city, otherwise you won't be able to build anything at the airport. So this is a big challenge. So if we assume that in the future the new airport will be outside of the city, then first of all, normally we start not how to load the hotel, but the question is how to load airports. And the question is if there is an adequate operator who is able to negotiate with airline companies normal tariffs, then actually the traffic is coming. And then you solve the problem with the cost of the ticket, because the competition will drive cost of the ticket lower. Irkutsk situation is quite unique that, for example, air crews, they have to stay somewhere because the time to get relaxation is very specific requirements. And if they're traveling from Moscow, from other location to Irkutsk, then they have to get rest. So this is one segment who will stay at the hotel. Families, business, why not?
But I think that the answer is that you obviously need to look at the airport, okay? If this is the hub, then it makes sense to build a hotel. If it is not hub, then, sorry, there is no point in at least now. And how many hubs will we have, what hubs, whether it's Irkutsk, Krasnoyarsk, Khabarovsk, Vladivostok. it's a question mark because very often the government has not yet decided which way to go. I think with an increase in flights, with an increase in passenger flow, you may start thinking about that. But with Irkutsk, for example, I haven't been in the city, I cannot judge. But for me, if the airport is in the city, the hotel which you're building in the airport is the city hotel, because it's not very far. I may be wrong, but Claudia, again, I don't think that the question was very specific to Irkutsk, but it was more the question about, you said that you can come in as the investor rather than the lender. And I think that you said that you used to come as the investor. Maybe I'm
No,
wrong.
I think it was whether we lend once the
after
hotel's
the
open.
Yes.
So I mean, basically, typically, because we're an international finance institution, the aim of our financing is to develop new projects and add value to the economy of the country. So we don't tend to do refinancing. We can do debt or equity for new projects, but what we do, which is quite interesting for hotel projects, is if someone wants to buy a chain of hotels and refurbish them, or maybe even rebrand them, we can look at trying to help finance that, particularly if it involves sustainability features, energy efficient, etc. So we're actually working on a project like that at the moment, and that's something that would be of interest to us. So we do finance after you cut the ribbon, but for specific things.
And that's a good point, because I think that there are, some of the hotels in the regions, you don't knock them down, but you can refurbish them. Answering the question on the lack of the quality budget hotels in the regions. I mean, again, you don't do that as the high-end upscale, but something, I would not name the brands, but economy or budget brand refurbished is
exactly.
actually there is a lot of potential to that. So we don't know whether you should build the hotel in Irkutsk. That's the bottom line.
Sorry,
No,
what was
that's
that?
not
No,
what
I mean,
no.
I didn't say that at all. I
That's
mean,
not what-
send me the business plan and I'll let you know.
Claudia was actually one of the most optimistic about Irkutsk.
Yeah, I can't. We don't sort of decide which cities we invest in. It's more the project.
Why I'm just asking, because there is a lot of people who is in this room. They're not like dreaming about something. They have a particular experience in the development hotel. And they're coming back to the point of Sarah about distribution channel. I honestly believe that the only people who is managing the hotel, who is general managing the hotel, will be able to achieve the real results with great sales, with a good team on board, with everything.
Can we?
In Irkutsk, it's 3, 4, 5%.
I would love, if possible, the operators to comment on this point, because there is. No, I do not. I mean, I don't want to agree or disagree, but the point here is that whether the brand brings the value to the property, or what you need to do is to hire the proper GM, the good team on the ground, and and then they would be able to run your hotel at least not worse than the brand, be it international brand or Russian brand, doesn't matter. So, do you?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, if you have the capacity to manage your hotel well, if you know how to run the hotel, if you are fully involved into it, you know the dynamics of how it works, absolutely. You can clearly get away without a brand. There are lots of other alternate tools available to you to run your hotel successfully without a brand. But if you're an investor where your game is real estate and you can't be bothered by the nitty-gritties of managing a hotel, then you need an operator or somebody who can manage that for you. Now, which brand, there are pros and cons for every brand, there's a market for every brand. It's a much wider discussion point. But the point to what you raised is whether you need a brand or not.
Yeah.
It depends on your circumstances, on your motivation, on your capacity.
Plus, in the development of the market, I can give you an example of Kazan. Is that when you speak with the owners of the non-branded hotel, which had a good time before the brands came. And after the brands came into Kazan, they felt the competition. Whether this is because the distribution or whether it is
But this is the question about general manager, because anyway, in any city of Russia, if you don't have good and well-experienced general manager, you don't have business.
And whether he's Russian, whether he comes from the Russian owner, whether he comes from international operator, whether he comes from Russian operator,
anyway.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's anyway. And in Kazan as well. So if you look at this local market, and there are few hotels with good experienced general manager, and they are okay even after international brands come in.
Okay. We have 3 minutes left. If there is any question, Nikita.
We have touched today very sensitive issues like post-event use of hotel, then local investors in object. And what do you think about new model that started recently in St. Petersburg with apart hotels, like Pioneer group of companies? You know, yes, apart hotel. And is it reasonable to move this hotel in connection with future World Cup in Russia or some other events? Because in this case, the investors are the local people who can buy
No, we understand.
of property.
And in Moscow, yeah, they building in Mitina, which doesn't sound as a good hotel location for me.
You see, in this dangerous city near the Black Sea, there are a lot of such projects. A lot of. It's unbelievable how many projects they have right now. About 20,000 flats which are waiting for the buyers. So it's the same situation. Nobody wants to buy it. Because of the price, first of all, because of the location, the second thing. So this is not only project in St. Petersburg with Pioneer, but they just make nice marketing and PR for this project, nothing more. But there are a lot of such projects. By the way, there are a lot of projects where the developers say that we are moving with apart hotel, but they really make flats just to sell it. No, because it's easier, much easier with our law. So it's very difficult to realize where it's really apart hotel and where it's just for sale. Yeah, nothing more.
I agree. I think that the apart hotels, which you discussing, it has nothing to do with the traditional apart, serviced residences or extended stay. I'm a big fan of extended stays. I think that they make a lot of sense. And for example, in Moscow, but apart hotels, I think this is a trick to sell the apartments and telling us that, hey, I'm not building the residential. Okay, we have no. This is it. Thank you very much, and thank you the panelists, and thank you people who come and join us today. Thank you very much.